I'm sorry, I don't hear. I don't hear anything.
Okay, now.
Yeah, now good. Thank you.
Okay. In the middle of page Sadik Daled, we are in the middle of Sadik Daled, and close to the end of page Sadik Daled, we discusses the concept of why we saying Slach Lanu in the middle of Shmanes. And so yes, we started saying the mashal from silver and gold. Silver, the way you cleanse silver is by making it very hot. And Shom Asfas Yesa. Similarly, the Pasuk says Ishlaf Malol, every person called me Malol, if you nail Vashevach, according to the level of this praise of the Eivashter. The praise and davening is done in a state of Ish flames of fire. So that cleanses him much stronger from his evil. That when you, it's another pasuk in Mishle, that the sigim means the dredges, the dirt comes out of the silver, and then the keli comes out. The silver becher, let's say, comes out to the first nodoz. Before the before you cleanse the silver by making it very hot. So the dirt part of the silver also looks like silver. That cleanses and refines the gold, the silver, so it gets clean. A pselis need chalachutz, and what happens to the pselis? What happens to all the dredges? It goes away. It's pushed out. That's a mush. Making about void the so it's a name shall the koi the might feel the chishash bein. Four person stands goes through, starts the concept of the union of davening. So his behavior, his path looks straight in his eyes. If he feels that he's in a good place, he didn't do an Aveil, not only that, it came mitzvah, he's a Betela. Person says, look, I'm a good person, I didn't do any Aveil, not only that, I did the mitzvah, so he feels that he's really very close to the Eivashter. He's a perfect person. But the truth is that we look deeper, he's full of issues. He has gaiva and other ego and taivas, etc. Idea very bit feel so when there's a cue. So when he starts davening, but avoid the feel he gets close to the then he sees, he recognizes that he's really very far. Then he recognizes and he feels the most subtle aspect of his evil that prevents him from getting really close to the Eibishter. So that's the answer to the question why Shemana Esrei say Slach Lanu, because only when we reach the level of Shemana Esrei, when we get closer to the Eibishter, then he recognizes his most subtle and more hidden type of evil he has within him. That's step one. Step one is that he recognizes that he's not really pure from any aspect of ego, etc. And then step two is Step number one, he recognizes the because he's in that state, he recognizes the Dakasara, and then step two is he pushes it away. He destroys it. So that's it. Let's say the avodah in regular level of avodah bichlal tzrichim migia rabba leval zachas ha'aret chesed. In other words, in the regular state of avodas Hashem, it requires a lot of effort and hard work to push away the evil. Like it says in Tanya. Tanya, it says that during davening, a person is fighting kis nefesh habamis, and to ensure that the taivas of nefesh habamis are conquered. So it's not so simple. Yes, it requires a lot of hard effort. But in our case, there's a difference between the regular Seder Avodah. The regular Seder Avodah is a long process. But in our case, because he already reached such a high state of Korab Melech, then it happens immediately after he recognizes. That's the statement he's making now. Since I'm not being as that, yes, I'm going to skill the course, but in our case, because he's already so close to Likus, he's already in stage Shmanesa, because he recognizes and he feels the distance from the Eivishter, that's a result of the Dakosara. Meneis prevents him from getting really connected. And that creates in him a feeling of merirus, which is the union of bitterness. Like I said earlier, the achna v'shiflus, he feels low. What do we see that Vismama is because it says slach lonu. He recognizes that he has dakasaras. He begs the Eibush slach lonu, please forgive us. And then automatically the Ra is being pushed away, cast aside. Now he develops it a little more in the Chatzigel. He develops more this concept. We're still in the middle of the explaining. Let's keep in mind what we're talking about here. We say smoile tachas l'roishi, that really to smoile tachas l'roishi. But he said two ways of smoile tachas l'roishi. One smoile tachas l'roishi means that to the achnoi v'shiflus is HaKadosh Baruch Hu Makbir. That was state one. Then now we're in the process of the second type, the second way. If it's in the middle of the page, Tzadik Dalet, it said the Gamla. In the middle page it says Sholem Atzad Chul. It says the Gamla Eipash. I definitely because he reaches so high, that gives him the feeling of Tchiyah. That's the bottom of Shemona Esrei. Because he reached the level of Shemona Esrei, he's already Roishi. He's the top of his spiritual experience. That itself creates a feeling of smile deicha. He feels that there is Ra and he wants to push away the Ra. So that is the opposite view. That's really the Emshach Inyan. But let's go into Chatzigel now, which develops this point he just made a little more. Because we're talking a situation here in Shemona Esrei, in Slach Lonu, that means but it doesn't build Zichas Mishalim. Talking about a person who already reached the bill of Zichur, the cleansing and the separation of the evil. What's left is only Dakasara. The Seder Avodah, because the Seder Avodah is the Arabil Nasa Tefillah. The bill itself is done, like we said before, from Tanya every day in davening, but it's a whole process. The first step is to look at the Zimra, Hakikum Bachutz. Look at the Zimra is where we daven and we speak about the greatness of the Eivishter, Baruch Shama Va'elam, and all the Allelukas, it's the greatness of the Eivishter. So that's called look at the Zimra. Zimba is also that affects the person in a way. It engraves that feeling connection to Eibishter Bachutz. It's also called Zimba Miloshen Zmir Aritzim, because you cut off the Miloshen Lazamer means means it's like cutting off the negative. So that's a kikum mibachutz. That's step one in Tokid Zimra. Then the next step is Birchas Krishma is the next step in davening. First, in the first part, in the zero misbeinen in creation. You know, the greatness of creation. The whole point of the first step of the first of the all the shvachim of the Ebershter. That creates this first step in destroying the Ra. That's the union of Chikma Bachutz. Now, Birchas Krishma, here it doesn't say it by but Birchas Krishma mostly, Tzidus talks, this concentrates on Birchas Krishma, and more important, most importantly, on the Malachim. We recognize that the Malachim praise the Ebershter. Dort Magdishim Mamlichim. And a lot of other aspects of Birchas Krishma also connect us to the Ebershter. The Yetzirah Ma'eres, David Soul, all these things connect us even higher. So that's about Krishma Bachutz. And then Krishma itself, Shema Yisrael, V'afta, all these states of davening are destroying the Ra, B'vir Zichara. So that's the meaning of Ishtafim Ma'aloloi. That makes them refine.
How they destroy the Ra?
What? By connecting, by recognizing Gdulas Hashem, the way it's expressed in Krishma, that's supposed to affect the person. He should want to destroy all his evil inclinations. The Nefesh HaBamis recognizes that it's not in a good place naturally. וזה נעשה במשך הזמן על ידי שקידה. השקידה סבבה, כדאום וכמה דוכתה. So that's the general way of Avodas Hashem. And that happens not in one day. It's a process. Shkida Saveda. Every day you do it again and again and again, and then eventually the Ra is Mizbar. K'masha Mizbar Kanu. So that's one state. That's Ishtafim, the regular Ishtafim Malach. But in our Maimor, when it speaks about Tzlach Lonu, it says a more subtle thing. Even after he did all this, he already reached that stage. Like we said earlier, that in davening you reach the level of Eish Eich Le'Eish, which the Eish of Agdusha consumed and destroyed the Eish of the Lomazde. Nisha Mikol Makom Daka Sarah, still, after all the Avodah, there's still some subtle level of Ra that's left. While Zen is Barakan, the Beyesi, Yesef has killed Dafkin Igashat Sarishuk, while Deshem is Malam Azala, Nasa Mamet Chiasaramit. So, in other words, he says that here he's talking about a specific, very high level of Bir Dakasara. So that's step one. So that's step one. Not step one. So to summarize what he says here, like I said, we started the point in the middle of page 30. That brings the tree of smell because he's in a state of roish, in a state of shmanetz, like for birakel. So how does he deal with it? Roish, because he's connected so high, because he reached Shmanetzre, because he reached the Madrig of Roish, that creates the tree of Dakasara. But Gam, another point, the fact that he recognizes Dakasara, the fact that it screams, the Mismarmer, that brings the connection even stronger. Anyway, it's והוא כפירוש א' הנאבס מהתכנס לרשת, שזה במעל מדרגה בייס. And then he says, that connects to the first pirush, the tchiyah, that brings the connector that brings the cure of the liquids. The fact that the smell deiche, the mismarmos. So in other words, there are two aspects in the davening, in the Tzlach Lonu. There's the aspect that because you reach such a high level in spirituality, that makes you recognize your Dakasara, and in turn, that makes you push away the Ra. It means that the Roishi makes the Smoilim, the Roishi, the high level of spirituality makes you push away the Daksara, but then says that another aspect is like the first Pshat in Smoil Dachas Roishi. The Fakir, the Achnor V'Shifel, the Kishboch, Mashvilatz, the Kishboch Magbirei, the fact that you're so bitter, this Marmer Vaitzakol Hashem, because he's so upset about that state of his lost state, that itself makes him connect even stronger. So we discussed the whole point. Again, the bottom of page study Gimel started explaining this level of why tefillah is small. So tefillah is small means because the small, which is the small doiche, the aspect of small, that small doiche. Small doiche means pushing away of the evil. Okay, now he says another way of understanding. In the Karbonis, we find also Oyagam can small doiche. In Karbonis, he already said, but again, first he started saying Chitosim Batsof, and the Karbonis is small, but over there he spoke small stigboyas achais, not small doiche. But yeah, small means the strength. And also he spoke in Tefillah, the Eisha Tefillah, the strength. Now he spoke by Tefillah, that small, the opposite. Small means doiche. So now he goes back to Karbonis, also has the aspect small doiche. The Karbonis, the Gam complete small doiche. Find in Karbonis also the concept of small doiche. Avoided Tumas Hadeshen. That is the avoida of Tumas Hadeshen, the picking up the ashes. So there's two parts. In Hadeshen, what does Deshen mean? Ha'ef of Apsas and Nisham HaKob. That is the ashes and all the psoilis that's left from the Kob. The Kob is a Kob and who the Kob is a Toiv Oilav and Nichol and Mail and Nazareth and Chayk Hashem. The Maki of the Kob and the two parts that happen. There's the law, the burning of the sacrifice means that the oil carbon is elevated and ascends to the Eibush and then there's the ashes, the psoilis on Nisha Shabazeh Tumas Hadesh. The Eifa is something that's left. That's in the Eifa you do the mitzvah of Tumas Hadesh. Explain what is the inner meaning of Tumas Hadesh. But first he says, but Tumas Hadesh are based in Yanim. Really, in Tumas Hadesh, if you remember from Rashi from the Psukim, was just learned the Pashas Tzav, the two parts of Tumas Hadesh. Aleph Mashakos of Ve'erim, says Ve'erim is Hadeshen, Ashatech Ha'la'esh, it's Oil HaMizbech, with some Eitz HaMizbech. You pick up the Deshen, you pick up the ashes, with some Eitz HaMizbech. You put it right next to the Mizbech, and Nivla Bim Kaimei. So it says in the Forshim, what happened to all this Deshen, and Nivla Bim Kaimei. It was swallowed there, right next to the Mizbech. That's step one. Base, then it says, there's another aspect. There's Adomas Hadeshen, then there's which is some Eitzam Mizbech. Then there's another Avodah of it takes the Hadeshen out. What does it mean what is the concept here? What are these two stages in the midst of what we do with the Hadeshen? And really,
I'm sorry, you said when they put it on the side of the Mizbech was swallowed? What did you say?
Nivla bin Kaima, yeah. Okay, you know what? Let's look up in Chumash.
So what does that mean that then they would take it out? If it was swallowed, what is there to take out?
Okay, let's see what Rashi says. Okay. All right. Second. One second. Okay, I guess we have to go with the Rashi's pshat. Rashi says it's a complicated a little. If you want to figure out the pshat, so Rashi says the Tumas Hadeshen is only one machta. One machta you have to put next to the mizbeach. Only one machta full of deshen. That says the medrash. There's a medrash that says nivla bim kaimer. That part of deshen was always swallowed. You didn't have to do anything with it. Then there was a lot. Then once in a while there was a lot of that's only one machta, but the rest of it stayed on the mizbeach. Then once in a while you have to take out the mizbeach. That's how the two mitzvahs. In other words, when you read the psukim, that's not what it sounds like. It sounds like psukim. The two stages, the same deshen. You take the deshen, you put it next to mizbeach, and then you take the same deshen and move it away to the back to al b'chutz lamachne. That's the Mniri the Psukim. But Rashi says a little differently. Rashi says that the mitzvah of Tumas Hadeshen is only one the mitzvah of Tumas Hadeshen is only a small part, a little bit. Only loya machta. That was nivlet on mizbeach. But then there's another the other part of the Efer. Okay, the way it's described here, that's actually what happened. That the other part of the Efer, one machta is not enough. There was way more than one machta of the Efer. So first you do the mitzvah of Tumas Hadeshen, you put it next to the mizbeach. The rest of the Efer is put to the side, and once in a while, when it's too much, it's a different deshen. That's how it's explained in halacha. So, but okay, so that answers your question. That mloya machta was nivla bim kaimet, says a medrash. That was swallowed. That was swallowed. That was never taken out. There's the other part of the deshen was a tzor. So that actually fits what we're going to say in Alpi Beruchnis. He says, like the Medrash says, that part of the deshen, he took one mach to put it right next to the mizbeach, and it was swallowed there. It was swallowed in the ground next to the mizbeach. Then there's the other mitzvah of that's a different part of the deshen, not the same deshen. That's actually how it's explained in Allah. The Mela, what does it mean what does it mean to us? What does it mean in Avodah? Eine shegamba pseles. The Afer is the pseles. The Eshen is the pseles. So the pseles itself has two parts. Pseles yesh base yesh chelkat Eshen Bayern Vodah. There's a part of the pseles that's stuck a pseles, but eventually it gets elevated. That's mehumas in the fact that nivla bimkoimet. It's not. You don't have to take it out. It's stuck a pseles, but eventually it's nivla bimkoimet. It's swallowed and it's transformed into good. And it brings a right away from a different pasuk. It says in pasuk Yaakov the Ksiv Vayovek Ishim. When the pasuk describes in Parshas Vayishla the struggle that Yaakov had with the Sorah Shel Esav, the lashon pasuk is Vayovek Ishim. That's Adayem Azed. It's a word in Hebrew. Vayovek means it's struggle. But the Medrash says that the Ovek is lashon Ovok. It means dust. She'el. The lashon Medrash is Ela Ovok at Kiseh. Tachas Kiseh HaKoved, it says. At Kiseh HaKoved. Means that, again, it's like a visual image of the Ovok. Let's say two people fight so hard that the dust from the fight, from the struggle, goes up all the way to the sky. That's the like the visual image here, but there's really a message, a much deeper message. So what is explained? The Ovok. Oh, what is Ovok? Ovok in the again in modern, not just modern, the most common meaning of Ovok means dust. But the Zohar says Ovok u'deishtar min ur. Ovok means ashes that are left from fire. That's what the Zohar says. And actually the Zohar and this pasuk, Reva Shimoi, he says that Ovok means the ishtar min ur. It means the ash that's left from the fire. So what happened to it? He says, Oya gam bir was it. Oya gam bezebir shehelo. So he's not shot in helo at Kiseh HaKoved a different aspect. That means it was elevated. That ovok, that ashes, when he destroyed Esav, it's the Nefesh Habahamis, the Eish of Nefesh Habahamis. So when you destroy him, there's ovok, you burn him, there's ovok left, there's ashes left, like in the dashing of the Korbanos. What happened to it? It wasn't thrown away. Elot Kiseh HaKoved. It was elevated. That's the remes. Even the pselos hanitche, even that part which in the original state it's pushed away. Nitche, like just like in the Korbanos, when you burn the Korbanos, there's ashes that's left. There is an aspect of it that could be elevated. Now he explains what it means in real Avodas Hashem. Avodas Hashem, it means similar to what it says in Tani Perek Zayin. That why does Denis Nasda Kazochis? Because because you recognize that this Avera made you feel so bad that you wanted to do tshuva. Turns out that Avera is part of the mitzvah. It's not kazochis. That's how Alter Rebbe says in Tani Perek Zayin. So a similar situation that can say here. It says here also, because that silence made the cycle, like we said earlier, made him scream, make him uncomfortable, made him want to run away. Males, it turns out that the negative itself is elevated. That has a positive aspect to it. It made him scream. It made him connect. So the male, it's elevated. What does it really mean in Avodas Hashem? That level of psoiles that could be transformed into good. These two types of psoiles, that's what Tanya talks about. There's two levels there's merirus and atzvus. There's bitterness, there is sadness. What's the difference? Merirus is smile deicha. Merirus is also smile deicha, like you said earlier. Merirus, the person feels a state of bitterness. Smile deicha. It's a state of feeling that humbled and feels that he's unworthy. But that smile deicha, it's like it's merios. It's a bitterness that creates that creates a positive energy. It forces him to connect to the Eibishter. That's what we said earlier. The tzayka, the scream, the feeling of discomfort that has a positive aspect that pushes him in the right direction. Not only that, Nasatachas Lareishi reaches the Proish, Nisimin Mekareves, V'inyen V'yitzaka Elavai. Not only that, eventually this bitterness brings him to joy. Actually, in Tanya Chavov, there's all arichos, the two different types of atzvos. Remember, Tanya talks about how atzvos is a negative thing, because atzvos it is Hashem b'simcha, but merios is the type of discomfort that has a positive aspect to it, because it pushes him to the right direction, and it makes him forget. Eventually, it pushes him closer to the Eibishter, and eventually, he reaches the level of joy. So that's the mashal of the psoiles tumas adeshin, which is nivla bim koime, and it means it's a stuck at psoiles because it's a negative feeling. It's a feeling of bitterness, but that can be elevated because it pushes it in the right direction. Atzvos just sadness without a positive energy to it. That is the opposite effect. It turned into a skupani dresses like a doorpost that anybody can step over you, which means because he gives in. It's so sad. He gives in. He gives up, and that's like a psalus that you not allowed, is not allowed. It was so he explains what we just said. These are the two types of psalus. The atzvos is like you have to take it away. You cannot allow it. Cannot allow it to exist. But there is barrier. In the Mariro shall is nasa kirbies. Mashenga the Teva Misbarer, that's the Mariros. That's the Tumas Adeshen, what's Nivla Bim Kaimai, that is Mariros. Kamai can yesh base Niani Babeda Nash not Chesara. Okay, I remember these two lines we had a hard times. Kamai can yesh base Niani Babeda Anal Shanas Chesara. So going back, maybe we can learn shot like this. So going back to what we started before we reached Tumas Adeshen. Let's go back to Avodah before Tumas Adeshen. In Avodah, what he spoke earlier in Avodah said Tefillah. So first there's the Tchiyah Sarah. The Tchiyah Sarah means the first step that the person is before davening. In Sukkot the Zimmer in Krishma, you have Tchiyah Sarah, which is the first stage in Tchiyah Sarah. Like in Korbanos, he burned down the Eish of Nefesh HaBamitz. Because there's still, I think that's what's missing. There's still the Dakasara, and that creates Merirus. That's what he said on top of the page. Dakasara, but that creates a union of Beitzakar Hashem, the Dakasara. And that eventually makes the kirov even higher. Like we said earlier in the page, Yes, זה נעשה הכיר בייסר. זה העבודה שהלא מלמטה למעלה. Okay, so we had a lot of, so okay, so you just finished the last few words to summarize everything we learned, starting page, starting in the starting in the page study gimel. So avoida. Remember, we started the mind with the Torah avodah chasadim. So avoida is halom elmata l'mayla. But in the avoida, he spoke about a lot, broke it down very elaborately, a lot of aspects to it. Number one, we had the smile means itikberes achayes, the strength, the energy, and the what was the lesson there? Sorry, the rish be'esh. The Ishpe'esh in the fire, the heat, that was the first pshat Naveda, which is Allah. Then he spoke about the smell doicha. Smell doicha means that the avoid of kabbanis. Now the avoid of smell doicha means to break away the ra. In other words, to recognize his law, Allah is that's no shiftless. Then in that goof he spoke and a more subtle way, chiyasara of dakasara. And then he spoke that there's Tobategas and Psilas. So all these aspects of the Avedas at Tefillah, that is all Allah and Matalamai. So we finished discussing the Indian of Kava Aveda, which he started the Maimor, which he started in the beginning. Describe what is the meaning of Aveda. Now he's going to the next step.
I'm sorry, R'Dovid, but I say that with the matter, but this sense all I would have from me matter the matter. So I say like all the I said in the tefillah and I'm thinking about and all this is like I would have from the person is doing it and reaching to the height of it in Shemona Esrei. So why saying with the matter?
The matter says with the matter.
Oh, it says with the matter. I thought you heard. Okay.
You don't have the safe in front of you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, all right. So all this is Allah matter. Maybe I misspoke. Okay. In a korban makiv koyin dafka shutkunis isa chesed. Now, who was all these things is smile and gvura and ashno, but who was the one who was makiv? Who was makiv the korban? It's dafka koyin. Koyin is isha chesed. That's what it says. The function of the kohen is chesed. The kohen make a bracha. Levach sama Yisrael be'ahava. Birchas kohen is daka be'ahava. It says Aaron HaKohen ohev shalom. Aaron is chesed. Va'ayinu. What is the reason? Because it's not enough. Oh, we spoke about the older miles of avodah of small, but that's not enough. It also has to be chesed. Sachlis lachlol smaller be'yimina. All these avodas he spoke about, they also have to have an aspect of chesed. The ikar of kavana amshach, because the ultimate purpose of creation is not halal, but amshach. That in our world there should be amshach, a drawing down, pulling down of godliness. The Rebbe created the world. It shouldn't be in a state of chaos. Chaos represents in this concept Gvur halo, the person wants to go out of his box, not mashing, but that's not the purpose of creation. L'sheves itself, the Eibishter created the world should be settled in the meaning that should be the world should operate according to its order, not running away from it. Kavana ba'alo she'yivam shach. The ultimate purpose of the halo, of the karbonis and everything is eventually should reach the amshach. There should be the amshach of halakut in the world that we know. So that's the second of the three pillars. We finished avodah, now we're going to the second pillar, which is Gvilas Chasadim Sham Shachal Memayla. The concept of Gvilas Chasadim is Amshach. But it's not just Gvilas Chasadim. Gvilas Chasadim, we see it very obvious that the person who has gives to the one that doesn't have. That means he's Mamsham Memayla. And obviously that's in a very physical sense, but it's also it's a more general concept of Amshach. But it's not doesn't apply only to mitzvahs chasadim. In a mitzvahs, the general concept of mitzvahs is also Amshach. Amshach is Gilui Likus. Mitzvahs, all the mitzvahs we perform are really Amshachas. They're really Gmilas Chasodim, they're Amshachas of godly energy. There's another interesting way that this is expressed in the sources. The fact that the mitzvah is Amshacha, says a Medrash, the mitzvahs are called Shluchim. Shluchim means the messengers. What is a messenger? A messenger, the king sends the messenger to send something to his people, which is like Amshacha. This is Medrash Tanchum Kabdes HaMitzvah Shem Shluchim Ladam Kamaisa. It's an interesting. An interesting way of expressing that the Indian that mitzvahs are Amshachas Alikus, because the Medrash this compares mitzvahs to a shliach. Shliach means a representative. But another word for shliach, a messenger. In other words, he sends someone to. He should represent him. The shliach, like he just says, the shliach of Pchinas Gilichu. That's in Gil. It means it's Megala the Meshalech. Because, like I said, Shluch Shalom Kamais. That's one way we see that mitzvahs are Gmilas Chasodim. And also another aspect, with Zeu Indian, there's another expression in the sources in Chazal that also shows how the concept of mitzvahs is Amshach. Says in Zohar that the 248 mitzvahs represent the 448 limbs of the king, which means Kaviyachol the Ebershter. What's meant Evorim? What is Evorim exactly? What does it mean? Kamoya Evorim Shabem Amshachas HaChayos. What are Eva? What are the limbs of the body? The limbs of the body are really vessels that where the life force of this Mishnah Shama is drawn to, pulled down to. Shabahem Amshach Zachais. Kamoy Kana mitzvahs, the mitzvahs are compared to Evorim because mitzvahs all can Amshach as Gilui Likus. V'zeu in Gmilas Chasodim. That's the Indian of Gmilas Chasodim, the Amshach Likus in our world, not Halaw, which means running away from this world, but Amshach means bringing a Likus in the world as it is. V'zeu hoyo madregas Avrom Isha Chesed. So Avrom Avin is called Isha Chesed, like we bought the Lashon in famous Lashon in Medrash. Amma Mitach Chesed Lefnei Kadosh Baruch Hu. ממי אברהם באוס להצלח לא יוצרח תלעס מלאכתי שאברהם עמד המשל מקיימית אברהם represented מיתוס החסד. What does it mean מיתוס חסד? שהם שגיל אלוקוס למט. Doesn't only mean in the practical terms that he was very kind. It means there's a deeper layer within it, that he was mamshach elikus in this world. What he did was he was mamshach shem shamayim mishaim, that he made sure that elikus is beloved by everybody. That shows the amshachas elikus. Ein mashikosa b'dimamas chayil teres Yitzchak ein ches. We learned earlier in the Ma'amar teres Yitzchak. Now in Pashas Vayishlach, so just only a few Pashas ago, a few Bamorim earlier, he elaborated the exact, if you remember, the exact meaning of the word Shem, Shamayim, all about the Kabbalah. It's not so get details here. The point is that Avrom's avoida was to be Mamshach Shem Shamayim in this world. Should be Messiah, should be a Shachas Alikus in a way that the world loves it, that the world is a caliph for it. So that is so we finish with Gmilas Chasodim. What now the third pillar of the Shlosh Amudim, Shlosh Devarim Elam Eimer, the Torah of Gmilas Chasodim. So we finished the Avodah Gmilas Chasodim. The third one is Torah. Torah Hikava Emtzoi. Torah is the middle line, the middle. What the proper word? The middle mode of the middle pillar. What's meant?
Am I imagining, or are we just are we holding after the parenthesis of
oh, I'm sorry. Right. Okay, I jumped. Okay. Okay, you know what? Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, you're right. Thank you.
Kaya,
Mandy,
yeah.